What is up, everybody, and welcome to a new Meadows and Makers podcast. I'm your host, Greg Dowd. I am the host here at the Meadows and Makers podcast here on MSP Waves and streaming out to other places on the internet. So, hope this is going through okay, and everybody is able to check it out. So I am streaming in a couple different places tonight. Over on here, and also on YouTube. Here is where I am streaming. So if you can't hear me, these are the places you can listen. Hopefully everything's running well. So yeah, welcome to the stream tonight. I wanted to talk to you guys about what I have going on, and it's we're coming up on hunting season right now, and we've got bow season in Alabama for deer. So I am preparing for that. Okay, listening on Odyssey, can't hear through the Discord. Okay. I am not sure why it's not streaming to the correct place. MSP Waves default. Everything should be set up correctly. Let me make sure. But if not, that's why I have the backups going, so that you can at least check it out somewhere and be able to follow along with the podcast. So, since hunting season is coming up, I wanted to make sure I had some knives. I've already talked about the knife set that I recently purchased. A bunch of Swiss knives from Victorinox, and recently built this leather roll to keep all the knives collected in a nice roll, so fits in the hand, and I can throw it in backpack or something I take with me when I go hunting. And it's got some holes punched in this thing so that you could use some paracord to tie it up and keep it nice and cinched down and held together. And so just some simple overhand knots that hold everything together, and it makes it real easy to untie and unravel the roll. And so yeah, here's kind of what this thing looks like as a visual for you guys, if you can see that in the video there. And it's got another couple of holes punched in it at the top to help hold all the knives in place. And then again, it uses just a simple overhand knot is holding it in place there, and it comes apart just by releasing those nuts, and you can open the flap there and access all the knives in the roll. So yeah, I have a video of this process of what it took to put this together, and just basically just use a sewing machine and a needle, and went through and laid out all the knives on this piece of leather in a row. We cut a couple pieces of leather and individually set the knives in. So all these guys got set in individually, and just sewed down the profile of the knife and closed it in on the other side of it, and then started the stitching for the next row of knife, and that worked pretty well. Just kind of, it was my buddy from work, AJ, that he's done sewing stuff a lot, and so he was on the sewing machine. And then I caught a video of the process, and I was going to show you guys that tonight. I've got to sit here for a minute and publish those videos, and or at least upload them to a cloud thing, and then I can be able to show them. So I'm going to upload a couple of those videos. While I'm doing that, I will just keep talking about getting prepared for hunting season and some of the stuff that's going on. I've got a buddy coming into town pretty soon here, over this next weekend, and he's coming into town and on his way to Texas. So yeah, kind of getting ready for that. I got some stuff continuing to move forward with the old oh shoot, man, that's why I'm not gonna be able to. I'm gonna have to go and do something real quick here. Probably gonna have to. What am I gonna have to do? Yeah, I'm gonna have to log into one of my. I'm gonna have to log into my Google account real quick, and probably log out of the hell yeah. Probably gonna have to log out of the other YouTube account that I am currently streaming to, so I don't think that'll end the stream. So let me try this real quick and see if I can pull up these videos from yeah, I want to sign in. Sign in here. Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah, that's one crazy thing about freaking freaking Google thing is that you've got to do a bunch of crap to sign in, sign out, all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, let's see here. Pretty sure I got the stuff I was looking for. And let's see, these are all the videos. Okay, cool. All right, so it's a bunch of sewing. So let me queue up one of these videos here. Let me make sure I can.
1 second.
Okay.
Let me get this undone.
I can get all this stuff figured out real quick here. All right. So this is the beginning of the process on sewing this thing together. So let me just throw this up here. I want to just verify this is going good, and it looks like it's all going good. So cool. All right. So yeah, here's one part of creating this leather roll here. This is the item that we're talking about tonight, and how the process of how it was put together, or at least part of the process of sewing in the sections where all the knives are going. And so yeah, here's some video of that process that I grabbed that I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, so this is starting off on the sewing machine, and I'm not quite sure what size needle we were using, but you'll see in here at one point the needle gets kind of jammed, and because we're feeding the leather, I guess, was being fed too quickly, and it kind of it bent the needle. So during part of this process, we had to change out a needle. So and the machine kind of, I mean, it's powerful enough to do the sewing into leather, into a couple of pieces of leather, but yeah. Anyway, here's part of the video that I took putting this thing together. And I just wanted to kind of record this for my own purposes as well, because sewing is not something that I really know how to do, and I wanted to have this so that I can kind of figure out how to do the process on my own. And so yeah, this is the very first edge of that leather roll going on, where the so basically the end of the roll, and just all the stitching that goes in there to make the pouch that's going to hold all the knives. So just that perimeter stitch to go all the way around the leather. So there was a piece that just overlapped for the pouch, and that's just doing a perimeter stitching going all the way across that piece. And there's some stuff I'll talk about as he goes through. So he did like a little back stitch there. So he ran the machine backwards a little to do one stitch, just moved it backwards, And then there's this lever over to the side that you can see there that ends the stitch where he was moving forward, and then he pressed that lever and it pulled back, and that's to make sure that your stitch doesn't come out. Um, so that was doing the perimeter of the roll, and then the next step was to start individually putting in individually stitching in all the knives. And this is the sharpener that goes on the end of the roll right here. So yeah, there's this guy right here on the end of the leather roll. So this is just the sharpener that came with that ordered with the knife set, so that you can clean up the edge and do all that cool stuff. Do all that nice stuff, resharpening up all the knives and everything. So yeah, that was the first step, and this is also where I believe the needle got kind of screwed up, because the pressure that was being put on the leather and the needle, so the leather was kind of lifting up on the needle there, and it caused the needle to get bent when we were trying to move the stitch through. So yeah, we had to pause there and change the needle out. After we figured that out, then the individual stitching was going on, where we took basically just with a pencil created the outline of where the knife would go after putting it into the pouch area. And after creating that little outline with a pencil, then it just took creating that stitch to make it happen. And so you see there he ends the stitch, and then when you end the stitch, you just cut off the excess. Then you just took the next knife in the process and snugged it up in the leather there to check out where the next knife was going to be placed. So pushed the knife in there and made sure that it wasn't going to poke through the end of the leather roll. Took a pencil and marked out the position of where that knife was going to go, or where that knife was. Just kind of drew the basic outline of it, so that it would be held in there nice and snug. Just with a pencil there, and took it back over to the machine to lay down the next stitch. So you have to lift this foot up to start the stitch, and then clamp it down. So he went forward a few stitches and then did a back stitch in the beginning there. Once you got a good needle in there, you can kind of fly with sewing in the leather. So basically, after he had that outline figured out, that he just followed that line and did the stitch. Gets to the end, does the back stitch, pulls up the foot. There's that leather on the back of the sewing machine that pulls that foot up, and cuts the thread, and then you burn it with a lighter to close it up, to make sure that the stitch isn't going to come out. The next one is a video about rethreading the bobbin, which I will play here for the short period, because it is a little bit complicated. on how to rethread this thing. And I tried to get a decently detailed video of how to do that because I really don't know how to do that. The bobbin is it's a piece that goes on the underneath side of the sewing machine. And so as the top stitch comes down, it pulls and I guess it grabs the thread from the underneath section and pulls that up to, I guess, do the stitch from both sides. Um, so so that's how that works. And then once the bobbin was put back in there, it's sitting on hinges, and uh, so there's a little dowel that sits on one of those hinges that has to go in the right position before it can be put back in the right spot. And then after that, it was just continuing the process of putting putting everything putting everything together, continuing the rest of the stitching on all the knives. And you could see he did the forward stitching there, and then did a quick back stitch, and those are all the videos I have from doing that process there. So there you go. Let me see the drop out of that. Go back to here. So that kind of gives you an idea of how we built this leather roll, and then so that the rest of the stuff was all just punching holes in the leather and then threading in the paracord. So it really wasn't that bad of a process. The next thing I'm going to do with this is the new machine that I got, the Snap Maker 2.0, is to take that machine and use it to burn in some kind of image onto the leather. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm gonna start carrying it with me whenever I go hunting because it's got the nice skinning knife in here. It's one of the first knives in here, and so this is the knife I'm going to use for like skinning deer or whatever I get. There's a smaller knife I have for smaller game, but yeah, this will be the kind of the skinning knife for deer. Let me see if I can show. I think I showed everybody all the knives on the previous stream, but yeah, this would be the guy that I would use for probably like all the smaller game. I think this one is for rabbits, but yeah, you could use this for different smaller game, and then the other knife would be for all the bigger stuff. But anyway, with the help of my buddy AJ, we were able to get this knife roll completed so that I'd have it, and it's something that I'd like to pass down. So that's how I built it to be. I wanted it to be something I could keep all those knives organized and throw it in a backpack of some kind or whatever when I go hunting, and have all that on hand for when I'm in the field. So how are you guys doing out there? See Gabriel hanging out in the chat there. I guess Gabriel, you're the audience member that came to hang out tonight. So I appreciate you coming to hang out with me. Hope you're having a good week so far. Um, Good deal, man. Good deal. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is that I know I've talked about it in the past. Kill Bill rally. Oh, cool. Is that for old Billy Bob Gates? Um, he's definitely not a good guy. Not a good guy. Uh, so what do you got? What do you got going on here? This is you got a video. All right, let's pull this joker up here. Western Australia COVID-19 post emergency powers bill. Oh wow. Wow, so this is right from the land of Australia. Is this to end all emergency powers? Is everybody trying? Is everybody protesting to kill all the emergency powers? Oh wow! In front of the Parliament House. Wow. Western Australia COVID-19 post emergency powers bill. Dang man! So how was? Looks like there's a lot of people there on the street. Stop the new bill that's coming in to replace the emergency powers. Okay. Man, um that's one of those things, man. It's like do you ever listen to Tom Barnett, Gabriel? He does a really I think he does a really good job of talking about, asserting your rights and stuff. And I've been listening to a lot of Paul Unslaved recently. Not sure. Let me see if I can find Tom Barnett. We could probably find him on Odyssey. Uh, but I don't know so much about YouTube. But he may have been Barnett. Tom Barnett. Uh, 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 but this is the guy. I'm not sure if this is his channel. Probably not. Alpha Vedic. But here is the guy. Here is one of his interviews. Let me see if it has something on the underneath in his description here of where to find Tom Barnett. No. Anyway, he does talk a lot about what you can do. He is an Australian himself, and he does talk about a lot of the stuff that you can do to assert your rights. A lot of the stuff actually, in all the whatever the kingdoms under the British Crown or whatever, like Australia, I guess New Zealand's part of that. Canada would be part of that. That there's different ways that you can assert your rights because of the way they have everything written down on paper or whatever. So basically, you're kind of holding their feet to the fire. But yeah, he's similar to Paul Enslaved in what he's doing to go around and just kind of assert your rights and stuff. I don't know if you've seen some of Paul Enslaved stuff recently, but he had one guy on there talking about how going to protests or whatever and spreading awareness and getting people together, and it's like he started a whole thing about like spreading, pounding, and coming together. But kind of his message through that is just like, it's really nothing's really going to change until people individually start to stand up for their own rights. And uh, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with him because I really don't think a lot of the protests and stuff. For one, a lot of these protests can get co-opted. Uh, Number two, it's like begging your masters for to do something different. It's like okay, the government's gonna save everyone from the government. It's like please masters, make it a little bit better for us. And it is a difficult path to walk down, though. There's definitely a lot of strength. There's more strength when people come together, or at least they see other people doing something. That's the one thing I will say about going to maybe an event is that people are trying to do something. Um, it's not like everyone is kind of apathetic. Um, but uh, but yeah. So Nine Claws, you can listen to me um over on Odyssey or the YouTube. uh, but yeah, the Discord it ain't isn't doing so good. um, and I don't know. Rondon told me where I can freaking. Rondon told me where I should be able to stream, and I said put all the settings in for that, and maybe I chose the wrong profile this week or something. But anyway, I don't know, man. I've just started to stream in the backup places, and so at least getting it out there. If it's not properly streaming, I don't have to bother Rondon now. So, because he's been a busy guy, but I know he's always hanging out in the community and always doing stuff. But just got some backup so I could be more self-reliant. Since this show's about self-reliance, I gotta be self-reliant. I gotta have some backups, man. I just got this cool shirt from Chrissy Mayer's podcast. It says "You sound vaccinated." I like I like that shirt. Of course, vaccines are totally safe and effective for everyone. Thank you, Dr. Fauci, for helping us all to stay nice and safe. um, that's for the old YouTubers there, folks that are on the screw tube. But no, I mean it's gonna be fun going into work tomorrow with this shirt on. Medically correct way for saying you sound retarded. Yes, exactly. um, so yeah, you sound vaccinated. I like this shirt. I thought it really cracked me up, and I'm looking forward to wearing it at work tomorrow in front of some of the coworkers that I know took the old jibbity jabberoo. And to be honest, guys, I uh, I am not too. Uh, I feel like I am kind of trapped in that 9 to 5, man. I have been doing this now for a few years. I've been going in every day doing the 9 to 5. Um, but that's nothing. There's nobody to blame for that but myself. At the moment, I've got the old 9 to 5, and uh, I'm doing the thing. I've got the work. At least it's helping kids. If you guys don't know what I do, I'm working in a field where I'm helping kids with disabilities or building braces for kids with disabilities. So, in that sense, I really at the end of the day, I have something that I'm building that I am proud of. That it's going to help these kids that they couldn't choose to be this way, be born and be have problems walking and doing all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's cool to be able to help those kids out, but uh, just it wouldn't be bad, and I'd probably be fine doing the 9 to 5, other than the whole being a tax slave and sending the portion of my paycheck to the IRS. Um, and if I can figure out a way to, make money on the side and totally do it the agorist way and keep it all off the books, then and live off the grid, that's my goal. I built this solar trailer thing. I got new batteries to set that thing up so that I can have power. Um, Basically 3,000 watts of power to power a small cabin kind of thing, and I got a new battery bank for that thing, so I'll have kind of like my power needs taken care of, and then the other stuff is to build myself a small cabin to live in, and get my gardens going, get some flock of chickens going, and be building a life that I can basically need very little money to live. So uh, that's the goal, my friends. That's the goal. So Nine Claws, I have the water source is going to be a well, and um, but to start off with, it's going to be rainwater collection. Uh, I had a piece of property of my own, but after meeting some more folks in my local area and some folks that I met on Derek Brose's activation tour over in Franklin, Tennessee, we met up and we started to meet up, and we're gonna be going in together on their land. And I've got some stuff, some building materials all out on their land right now, to be putting some stuff together. But definitely, you're right. Water is probably the number one important thing to have is your water source. So let's see. Gabriel posted some photos here. Lots of folks out there. It looks like in front of the Parliament building. I think it's kind of a lot of the state of the world that we're in right now. I don't know what the breaking point really is, but I think a lot of people are going to be being pushed to that breaking point. And I think if you're not looking into becoming as self-reliant as you can right now, then you're kind of or teaming up with people that are going in that direction. I think you're putting yourself in kind of a tough situation moving into the future here. So Nine Claws, you're asking what's Derek Brose like in person? He is a really cool guy, really chill, laid back guy, really loving dude. The guy is kind of relentless, doing this whole activation tour. I don't think these guys ever really took a break. They did a whole tour of the U.S. if you guys didn't know, like Derek doesn't use the banking system, and so he relies on people supporting him through things like crypto and cash and stuff like that. To so that he can continue all his work. He works with Ryan Christensen of the Last American Vagabond, and he is like constantly writing, constantly researching and writing. And then he also does the cool stuff like the Greater Reset activation thing. And this whole activation tour was to go around and get into doing all the work that he does, meeting up with the local Freedom Cell folks. A lot of folks, like especially in my area, we were inspired by him to you know push forward and get started with our local Freedom Cell and actually start meeting with each other on a regular basis. So um, I really love Derek. He's a really good guy. I can't say enough good things about him. Um, and he's got a lot of good character. He's a really good character guy. So that's what I got to say about Derek in person. Uh, so Gabriel, yeah, you're saying looks like good attendance, Gabe. Good, nice to see people hadn't forgotten. Um, yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem like that. Like after everybody has been let go or whatever, the restrictions have been lifted. It's like everybody's kind of collectively breathing a sigh of relief. But forgetting that that had all even happened. They freaking got kind of lulled back into sleep somewhat. Some people never woke up, but maybe some people are getting kind of lulled back into maybe a false sense of security since things have not been as tyrannical as they were during the lockdowns and everything. Uh, Nine Claws saying looks very upbeat, good energy. Skills are where it's at. A lot of work. Um, all kind of know each other. Tried out Freedom Cells there, but oh my god, the horror stories I could tell. Hard to find people here that are a fit. They're continuing with their agenda, both Canada and Australia. The sign up is available for the sign is available for a digital social credit system. Yeah, man, and that's what I think it is. It is important if to my brothers and sisters, all around the world, to work on your self reliance and assert your rights. There are ways of asserting your rights in the legal system as they have it set up, and my whole thing is with this system is that I just want to become myself. I want to become as resilient as I can, as self reliant as I can, not be dependent on the systems because when I was looking into a lot of information, I started my red pill journey and going down all the rabbit holes. Uh, Probably back in I don't know, probably since 2008, I had an awakening because I had a period of unemployment and I just started to do like tons of like rabbit hole research at the time and kind of got lost in doing some of that. And it was the first time, in my life where I kind of sat down and had some solitude and didn't have like, a whole lot going on. But yeah, during that time, I kind of had an awakening to the world and what was going on. And ever since then, I kind of was putting all the pictures together, looking into UN Agenda 2021 and um, which is now like Agenda 2030, and learning about that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I think the only way to survive this is to be self-reliant, because they're going to cut everybody off from everything, like energy and food and everything, because uh, that's just the direction I was seeing a lot of stuff going. And look at the point that we're in now. The cutting off of a lot of energy. Uh, a lot of the food systems have been disrupted, and fires at a lot of these food distribution places. It's just the changing of like our solar output. I think we're heading into a solar minimum. That was one of the things I was looking at. So, putting all that stuff together, I was just thinking about how to weather the storm as things progress here. And a lot of preppers, a lot of people that get into the space, it is kind of like doom. But I don't think it should be doom. It's just like you do one thing every day to get a little better and get yourself in a little bit better place on learning a skill, or teaching yourself some kind of way to become more self-reliant. And everybody's out there talking about all kinds of dates, like when the shit's gonna go down, like it's gonna be this day, and make sure you get all your shit together to be ready by this day, because this is when it's all going down. And I don't think that's a good mindset to put yourself in. Just keep working on your skills every day, so that you're getting closer and closer to being more and more self-reliant. But just don't get caught in fear, because when you're caught in fear, you're just going to freeze and you're not going to do anything. I mean, I've done that a lot through my life, and, I would say, I'm in my late 30s now, and just, I've done that. When I was looking into all this information and stuff, it kind of looks hopeless, and sometimes you can get overwhelmed by that and just shut down and freeze and just not do anything. And I've just been trying to change that mindset to where I've just focus on the things that I want to accomplish, and just start to tick one thing off at a time, and not get too overwhelmed with everything, because you can go into this panic mode where you're like, oh my God, the world's going to end tomorrow. I've got to do this, 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 and this. I've got to get all this shit together. And you can put yourself into, like, stress yourself way out too much, and put yourself into a panic. And, while it does do one thing, I will say, kind of having the information does do one thing, and seeing the moves that these guys took on locking everybody down and everything, it does kind of kick you into gear. Like, what you thought you were doing to get ready for all this stuff and to get more self-reliant, I think it does do, or what it has done with me, is to kick me into a higher gear to try to get more stuff done. So what do you say? Getting out is the only answer. They're going to do that. Really, people have allowed themselves to become lazy and move away from doing for themselves, and also tricked into allowing that to happen. You're right, man. The more I look at everything, the more that's the conclusion I come to as well, is that, collectively as humanity, we've allowed this to happen through our apathy and, living in a comfortable situation, becoming domesticated humans, not standing up for our rights when they've been taken away in front of our faces, just allowing thing after thing to happen with no pushback. And it's just, we've basically, people we've just brought it upon ourselves. And so, it's one of those things where at some point you kind of have to forgive yourself, and, like, I guess, forgive others, and just say, well, now it's time to change things. Now it's time to go on a different path, and I think one of the key steps for me is just I can only speak for myself is just to uh, keep working towards that self reliance, and then in situations to stand up for myself, and especially on things like the right to travel. Like that's one thing I want to start attempting to do is just start to do drives where I don't got my plates on and I'm not carrying a license or any of that, and just standing on the right to travel as making sure that I understand the difference between a commercial operation and traveling. Um, so that's one thing I want to push myself to do, and you know I guess it's just one of those things. Like you have to exercise. You have to exercise these things in order to. Um, it's like a muscle. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll definitely try to film it. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of the legal system is all set up as forms of contracts and stuff, and it's um, just reading into it and getting to meet some guys that have been studying this stuff for a while. And I plan on buying a version of the Black's Law Dictionary so that I can start looking up all the different legal terms in there. And one of the things that I've been interested in, it's one of those topics that I've been interested in. Um, but there is a deprivation of rights clause in the U.S. Code. I think it's like, what is it? 18 U.S. Code 242. Deprivation of rights under the color of law. So let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. So this says whoever under any color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, penalties, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason of his color or race than are prescribed for the punishment of citizens, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both, and if bodily injury results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. So anyway, that's one of the things that, especially during the whole lockdown thing, was I never got to pull this one out on anyone, but yeah, it's one of those things where that is in the U.S. code, so and one of the guys that I've been following is Paul Unslaved, talking about a lot of this stuff too, and he was talking about, like, if you're not willing to die or go to prison for standing up for your principles, then you have no teeth, basically. Like, you've got nothing to stand on. You're not a true human being. You're just another kind of NPC. So, so I think it's really up to us. It's like every individual has to stand up for themselves, and really until we come to that as a human species, the things that are going on are just going to continue to get worse and continue to just kind of go down the toilet bowl. And it really has to be a change in our consciousness and a way uh, to understand who and what we are as living men and women, and to own that and not enter into contracts with these people that don't have our interests at heart. Um, issue you have with having a vehicle is it means making several contracts, which means being in the system. I'm on the way out of it. I'll either live or die. Have a copy of it, an older version. Come to the conclusion that the gray man approach is a better way to go, less hassle. So yeah, there's other ways to do it. I mean, so the one guy I met is his name is TJ Mars, and he runs a thing called urlaw.org. And basically he has like if he gets pulled over, he just hands the officer a piece of paper, and he always says, you don't want to go into battle and say, like, be argumentative in any way, but you want to calmly assert yourself and not self-incriminate, right? Don't you always want to be the what he calls the creditor in the situation, where you're the one asking questions. You never want to answer any questions. So so it's all interesting stuff. It's something that I think instead of focusing on all the fear, but to enrich yourself with knowledge and looking into how you can go about asserting your rights and going out and testing it out on small things. Maybe like start with things like traffic tickets and stuff like that. Watch the guys like Paul Enslaved and guys like Tom Barnett, and a lot of times these guys, they settle a lot of the stuff with getting guys from even going to court, and by the wording that you use, by not entering into contracts voluntarily, and putting a dollar amount on your time and everything, that a lot of times that these things just get thrown out. So anyway, I've been talking a little bit about some of the things that I've done recently. One of the things was to get a ghost phone from these Liberty Under Attack, which is a de-Googled Pixel 3a phone. So I have tested this out, and I have this guy running, and I have it running using an anonymous SIM that you can get from a company called Silent.link. And this is really cool. Silent.link, you can you pay with Bitcoin to get yourself what's called an electronic SIM. And the ghost phones that the guys are selling here at Liberty Under Attack, they're just It's a Google Pixel phone with all the Google software wiped from it, and the open source operating system Calyx OS is loaded on it. And so with that eSIM card, what it does for you is you are able to like receive messages over the standard cell lines, but you cannot send out messages um, over the standard SMS system over the cell networks. But you can send messages out via encrypted apps like Signal, or there's one that we use that's called Session. And Session is really neat because it doesn't do anything like Signal does, where Signal has to get your phone number to be able to enable the Signal app. Session does not need any of that information. And whenever you start a chat with someone, then you are opening up a gateway, like a peer-to-peer gateway, where you start a conversation. So there's no personal identifying information going into the chat. So yeah, 9 claws. That's the key. There is like yes, Bitcoin is trackable, but you could get around that by doing a swap from Monero to Bitcoin is one of the options that they talk about in there. So so doing that swap from Monero to Bitcoin, you might be able to do that through. I think there's a way to do that through atomic swaps, so that you can pay with Bitcoin. So like essentially, it's like a fresh Bitcoin addy that is not really associated to you. And then I think there's things like Samurai Wallet, and that makes it a little bit more obfuscated. So yeah, maybe that's a workaround. A little bit of a workaround. Something else you could probably do is pay somebody cash with their Bitcoin address to get the link and send you the link if it's somebody you trust. So that way there's like a layer there of what could you say plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. So there's that too. So I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can do this, but anyway, it's really neat. I was able to get this all set up and test it out, and it works. Especially using these apps like Session and Signal. I can make it was Signal recently that they or sorry, Session recently was just text for a while there, but now they've enabled voice and video over Session. So yeah, Session there's not even like any identifying information. It's like just like Bitcoin, where you have like a public address, and you to link up with somebody, you have to do the you have to send them out this string of letters and numbers, and then they connect with you by linking up with that string of letters and numbers, kind of like the public key with Bitcoin. And and then you make a bridge. You bridge your chat together, and so in that way, there's nothing to identify you with any kind of phone number or anything like that. But yeah, that's one of the things to do. Like if you were seriously being if you wanted to go off the map, I think it was talking about. I was watching somebody's podcast. Maybe it was on Lex Friedman's podcast or something like that, where he was talking about how you could disappear digitally, and one of the things I think that he said was immediately you'd have to throw away all your devices or let your devices die, let the battery die. You just throw them away, and and then you would have to go steal somebody else's device, and then you would have to be able to use that because if any of these devices are tied to you in any way, then that's a way to track you with a device. Um, if it's somebody else's device, then the identity is tied to another person. It would take a little bit of figuring out to figure out if that was yours or whatever. But anyway, uh, that would be what you would have to do. Uh, but you wouldn't disappear, but it basically would obfuscate your identity. Um, and so yeah, maybe you could trade the person instead of stealing it from them. You just give them your phone and tell them to go hide it somewhere for a minute or something in the bushes, and then they can come back and get it later. after after whoever is coming to look for you found it. Um, but yeah, that would be what you would have to do. You'd have to totally abandon any device that had any kind of connection with you if you really wanted to go off the grid for real. Um, so, additional question: what if those that choose not to be part of the system can no longer access the internet? Wouldn't it be better to start building something new out of the system? Uh, like a new way of communicating with each other, or uh, what kind of just new communication methods like smoke signals? I guess you could start with smoke signals. um, I guess probably the simplest way would be maybe the simplest way would be carrier pigeon. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I'm thinking probably radio. Um, so you can mess around with amateur radio, and what we figured out, and here's maybe a tip or trick for somebody that I learned recently. If you want to use the amateur radio network, you can go into the FCC's database and you can find call signs from people that are on amateur radio. And if you want to, say, just communicate with a group of buddies or whatever over amateur radio and hand out these little handy talk radios, let's say, like a little these bow, uh, dang it, how do you spell that? Baofeng. I think it's BAO Feng. These Baofeng radios. Let me pull this up. New. Which you can get for pretty cheap. You could buy some of these, hand them out to all your buddies. You can find those. You can find that list of call signs. Like in the U.S., the people that have let their call sign lapse or something like that, and just maybe use one of those. Maybe use one of those when you're talking over the networks. But if you're talking locally, like we're doing some tests with this, using a handheld radio. If you're just set on a specific frequency and you're not like in the transmission on like a repeater, what's called a repeater. If you're not on that network where a bunch of other people can listen in, it's basically just whoever's tuned in that frequency is going to be the only people that can hear what's going on that frequency. So you can communicate at a pretty significant distance with a handheld radio. Um, Probably within about five. You probably got about a 5 mile range on a handheld radio. Uh, and that depends on like if you're going over different terrain. But yeah, if you just have like a group that you want to talk in between, like get yourself some of these handheld radios for amateur radio, and you can be able to talk within like a community area, and if you every and if you get picked up by some other amateur radio guys or whatever that are sticklers and kind of giving you a hard time, you can maybe look into that list of call signs and maybe say one of those call signs, because the way that you're supposed to operate as an amateur radio operator is you're supposed to give out your call sign like every 10 minutes or something like that during a communication, something stupid like that. So like if you kind of know the rules of how it works, like you can pass as an amateur radio guy. And I think some of the amateur radio guys kind of give people a hard time, but like most people don't even give a shit. And so yeah. Uh, I'm all about like obfuscation because okay, we do live in a digital world and all of our stuff's out there, you know. Um, if you can obfuscate your information and make it more difficult to, dig into it and figure out what is really going on is the better thing. Like there's no getting rid of, I think, of your entire digital footprint. But if you can obfuscate the information digitally by what's called salting the data, giving a bunch of false and fake information, and just sending them down rabbit holes of a bunch of different places. I think that's a good way of keeping your footprint online. Like just putting out a bunch of like fake information. Obfuscating the trail. Trying not to laugh, but mirror signals can work very well if you go with simple communication. Yeah, I guess if you got a good line of sight distance between you and the other person, you can do Morse code, mirror, mirror flash signals. People in the group know what a symbol or word means. All that has to be done is communicate that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool things to talk about. I ran into one conversation with Stefan Verstappen was talking to Jeff Rentz on. I think he has he does a podcast. Is Jeff Rentz, I think, is what his name is. But they were talking about how meeting in groups, you might need to come up with different code words for your group. Like, if you have a group that is getting together that wants to, assert their rights, and you're getting together for preparedness, resiliency kind of stuff. That these things will be labeled as kind of terroristic activities, and you need a different story to give to somebody. It's our monthly knitting circle, or it's our monthly yoga session, and or just different excuses for meeting up. It's our garden club meeting. We're talking about plants. So I really like that. It's something that I've actually held on to because I do think that's a good idea. You're right. Think creatively, and I think it's it's sad that A lot of the world has kind of come to this kind of stuff, especially for, folks that want to, live with more freedom. Uh, but, uh, but yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of fun. Government is terrorism. Terrorism etymology, the specific sense of government intimidation during the Reign of Terror in France, March 1793 to July 1794, from French terrorisme. Oh, that's where the some etymology of the word terrorism comes from. Interesting. I like that. I'm gonna have to keep that. Let's see. Be like, yeah. Well, you want to know who the real terrorists are? Goddamn government. And you know what? That's not too far away. That's not far away from reality, man. Because I was listening to Richard Grove interview Whitney Webb recently on the Grand Theft World podcast. And what they were going into was all these ties with organized crime and the government's dealings. And with her new book, One Nation Under Blackmail. And this is really fascinating, going into all these connections. This is, I think, like 2 hours of the podcast is the interview with Whitney Webb and Richard Grove, getting into the conversation here. And they do go into exactly what you're saying there, as how the how organized crime in many countries, like China and Japan, Russia, and the United States, Israel, and then European countries, like these organized crime groups all work together, and they're all kind of tied in together, and it's a lot of it's about the drug trade, and opium and cocaine and arms dealing and blackmailing each other and all this crazy stuff, So it's like, yeah, it's not about it's not far out to say that these guys they create the terrorism and create human suffering. If they don't have these, if they don't have these dealings, what they're at one point they were talking about, like with Catherine Austin Fitts was talking about how if the drug trade went away, that it would collapse the financial system, because it's all propped up by a lot of it is propped up by by the drug trade. So yeah, trafficking children and women, all the pedophiles, yeah, the blackmail on all the people that were on, the Lolita Express with what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein. I ordered those books from Whitney Webb. I'm waiting for them to come in. One Nation Under Blackmail. It's a two volume set, and you can order it from Trine Day, trineday.com. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Trine Day Publishing, Trine Day Publishing, Trine Day Press, and One Nation Under Blackmail. There it is, Volume 1. And I think they have they have a bundle pack. Yeah, right here. So you can buy the bundle for cheaper. Both books for $34.95. And I just ordered it, and just hearing the interview from talking about what's going on is very interesting. Yeah, I know there's probably like a maple syrup cartel up in Canada. Nah, man, I don't know. There's got to be some definite organized crime. There's organized crime everywhere. Government is organized crime. Let's say that. Uh, but yeah, this goes into a lot of the different connections. Uh, they kept repeating Jules Kroll was this guy that was tied to a lot of different people. Um, in this blackmail kind of operation stuff, and supposedly this guy was the guy that I guess Donald Trump was learning from this Jules Kroll guy at one point in time, and basically it kind of like from the interview, it was like they were laying out all the different connections with these different people. Where they were talking about how they were, doing anything they could to gain power. And I believe that this Kroll guy was deeply involved in that and setting up these deals, you know, squeezing people different through different means. Uh, Quebec mafia controls the maple syrup trade in Canada. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. Like maple syrup, dude. It is like one of the big things that Canada produces. I think it's like the oil of Canada is maple syrup, and I mean, damn, who doesn't want maple syrup on their pancakes? I mean, you gotta have maple syrup. Like a pancake is not, uh, you know, what good is a pancake without maple syrup? I mean, come on. Come on. Uh, so, so let me check in. Let me see if I got any comments on the other platforms here. Let me just check real quick. Appreciate you guys, Nine Claws and Gabriel, for hanging out in the chat tonight. Oh crap! I don't have that. Let's see. What is it? I have it under. Uh, Something. I don't know. Can't find it. Hold on. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Do this. Let me just check on here. I really need to get like a couple different screens going so I can check it out. All right, cool. Thank you, Joe Martini, loving the beard, awesome. This is like one other person listening, one of my old high school friends. At least that's the name of one of my old high school friends. So hello. That's all. But let me share this one thing with you guys that I thought was interesting, so that came across my radar today. This article one of my buddies sent to me, and kind of goes along with what I was talking about earlier with, your digital footprint. And this is an article talking about how there was I believe it was the FBI was selling these phones saying that they were encrypted like not trackable to folks. So let me read the article to you guys. Let me make sure I got it pulled up here. So yeah, this is a article from EngageNet, and this is from July 10th, 2021. But this is interesting. It talks about the phones. The FBI sold the crooks for a sting operation and weren't just running a custom app, it appears. The operating system was also tweaked for those goals. Motherboard has obtained one of the Anon phones. Really, it's a modified Pixel 4a, and its mysterious Arcane OS has a number of customizations that you wouldn't necessarily expect even for a privacy-oriented phone. For one, there are no app stores. You also can't toggle location tracking, and don't think you can simply flash the device with third-party firmware to make it behave more like normal phones. The bootloader is locked, even though the startup screen tells you the device has been modified. Some users said Anom was based on existing Graphene OS, but Anom may have lied to buyers about the software to instill a false sense of trust. The interface does include some security features that would appeal to criminal target audience, including a hidden chat app, access through the calculator when it worked, and pin scrambling, a wipe code feature that lets you erase a phone from the lock screen. Is also present, although the Justice Department clearly didn't like that feature when it charged some Anom developers with alleged obstruction of law enforcement. At least one secondhand Anom phone owner said they got a Pixel 3a, suggesting the FBI transitioned to different devices as the sting unfolded. You wouldn't want to buy one of these devices then for even curiosity's sake. However, it's now clear just how far the FBI went to bust criminals. The agency wanted to give unsuspecting drug dealers the impression they were using a truly encrypted phone right down to the operating system, even as the device quietly exposed messages to law enforcement agents. So that's one thing to be aware of. Yeah, the old honeypot. Yeah, exactly. Um, so I thought that was interesting. I'm talking about being on more secure devices, but um, that's one thing that you can do for yourself is wipe the Google software and then upload Graphene OS to your phone yourself and do it that way. Um, there's open source tools. It is one of those things where it's like, if you can't inspect the code, uh, or you're not buying from some kind of trusted source, and who knows what's a trusted source now. That's one thing I would like to do is get these guys in an interview with somebody from these guys that do this silent.link thing. This wasn't even possible a while ago, but this thing is pretty wild. Like, you're able to switch between different cell towers. Like, you can find which carrier gets the best reception in the area, and you can switch to that cell tower in the on the phone. And yeah, you pay as you go on this thing. You basically go with the different data rates for the different cell service companies, and it's like I think it's like 4 cents per megabyte or something like that of data that you use. And then you just you get this link. They send you this link, and you use that to activate the eSIM, and then you're off to the races. You can use it with one of those messaging apps, like Signal or something like that. You can communicate it with that. You can kind of what you can kind of do is like you can change numbers with that too. Like, you just get another phone number if you want to buy another U.S. Phone identity. It is interesting though that that they only have a certain amount in stock at any one amount of time. So that is interesting. So so if you just want to get a data plan, it's like $9 in Bitcoin. If you want to get the number, a U.S. number, that I don't know if you can do this. Like, if you're outside of the United States, it would be interesting if somebody that was listening that was outside of the United States would try it out and report back. But you can also get a U.S. identity phone number, or sorry, a UK identity phone number. So it's just U.S. and UK phone number. But to be able to do that is very interesting because typically you would have to get some kind of phone number. You'd have to go through one of the carriers and then sign up for a plan, and all that information be tied to your identity. And but with this capability of being able to use these eSIM cards or these eSIMs, uh, it's part of that obfuscation, I guess. You can kind of do some more obfuscation. So, so cool. You guys are saying you like in the streaming through Odyssey. Um, I really am digging Odyssey's layout and everything on there recently too. I've been listening to a lot more stuff on Odyssey, and now I believe they even have a feature where you can join as a member on Odyssey, which is really cool as well. Um, I think they do have that feature. I don't know if it's live or if you have to. Yeah, I guess you just have to enable it now. But yeah, this is a new feature that you can start a. You can get membership support on Odyssey now, and I really like their layout, the way they have got everything laid out now. Um, the really neat thing that I see on here too is like you not only publish videos, you can publish files. You can post images, post articles. You know, upload kind of a lot of different types of stuff. And so if you're not on Odyssey yet, create yourself an Odyssey account and start using it because it's got a lot of cool features. And you can go live on Odyssey. I'm doing the live stream on Odyssey now. So pretty cool. More has crypto built into the platform. Yep. You guys are talking about Rumble. I think Rumble is. I'm gonna have to call you back, man. Actually, let me answer this call. Let me answer this call. But I'm gonna tell him, hey man, hey man, I'm on. Hey man, I'm on a live stream right now. Can I call you back?
Oh yeah, my bad, man. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, I'll call you back after this.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
later. But yeah, I like Odyssey. And Rumble, I heard that Rumble was going public, that they were creating an IPO, I guess, and getting on the Nasdaq. I think I saw that in an email that came across my way. Um, I I haven't got into Rumble. There are some videos that I've seen that I've gone into, but yeah, now they've gone public. Exactly. What does that mean? I mean, they're gonna be beholden to the stockholders and all that stuff. It's like anytime that these guys want to grow and then they're taking in, um, you have to create a board of directors, and then you've got all the folks that have to get a piece of the pie in the game that they're doing a public trade, and stuff like that. Who knows where it goes. So yeah, good point. Good point. Wouldn't discount it though. Yeah, YouTube. Well, I guess YouTube is public because it is. Isn't it? YouTube is part of Google now, so technically it is a public company, right? So but but yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, I think once you start taking money from different entities, let's say, you kind of have to like kind of do stuff that they want you to do. But uh that's why I think, the decentralized products or projects are pretty cool, why do we have to pay to live? Oh, is that what Rumble does? I have no idea how they do Rumble. Let's see. SPAC deal makes CEO of Rumble video platform Chris Poloski a billionaire. Rumble founder Chris Poloski is worth 1.8 billion after the company's merger with a blank check firm. Interesting. Pay to live. Oh right, pay to live. Rumble's headquarters is in Toronto. Wow. Wow. I know, man. Paying to live, it really sucks. It does. Um, I like, Max Egan talks about that. I mean, technically, you don't have to. Um, if you could live off the land entirely, you wouldn't have to pay. It's for your benefits and privileges, right? To live in a civilized society. But it is not it is not easy to live entirely off the land. Um, but yeah, Max Egan talks about that. How it sucks to have to pay to live. Um, but yeah, if you just kind of ignore all the rules, then yeah, I mean, I guess you can be somewhat free. If you can entirely derive what you need to live entirely off the land, which is really difficult. Um, but yeah, you're right. I do not think we live in a civilized society. It's pretty in moral decay and just pretty sick. And it's not a good thing to be considered sane in an unsane world, in an insane world. You know, I don't know whose quote that is, but it's pretty good. And I butchered the quote, so it's it's not a good thing to be considered sane in an insane world. I don't know who said that, but rings pretty true to me. I think of that one a lot. Um, so what else did I want to talk to you guys about tonight? I got the 3D printer up and running. I do have a few videos on that too that I would like to share. So let me see if I can do that for you guys before the end of the broadcast tonight and pull some of that stuff up. So let's check this out. And I took a few videos of setting up the 3D printer. I did the whole unboxing. Basically, it's an unboxing video, and I went through the assembly of the thing. But maybe we can start with the unboxing.
All right, so
And then I will load the I'll load the video talking about the one of the final steps. And then here is, I think I've showed you guys the picture of how this thing came out at the end. I'm not sure if you guys have seen. I don't know if you guys have seen my 3D printer yet, but that's the new printer, and it's got a few different modes that you can put it in. It can do some stuff, man. It does some cool stuff. Let me see. Let me see if we can get this to work here. Maybe. Maybe it's got a little bit of time to get going there, but did somebody find that quote? Oh, here we go. Krishnamurti, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to, I guess, an insane world. Profoundly sick society, that's the quote. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. There we go. That's what it is. That is what it be. Let me see.
Alright, so check it out.
Let me see if that video has gotten up there. So that's the other project that I was working on. Let's see. Print a cabin. That would be really cool. And there is a company that is doing stuff like that. Well, there's several companies, but one of them that I met when I went to Acapulco in 2020 were these guys, Ocean Builders, and they've had a big idea on using a giant 3D printer to print out these sea pods where you can live like in the ocean in one of these pods. And it's actually pretty cool. And I don't know, but I think they may have launched it where you can actually rent one of these things, possibly. They may have. What do they got going on here? Green Pod Eco. So yeah, they can 3D print these things. Seapod flagship. What's going on with the Seapod flagship? More info. So yeah, this is one of the neat projects that was presented there at Acapulco in 2020. Which happened right before all the lockdowns and everything. But yeah, what they were gonna do is 3D print these things, and you could set it in the ocean, in like the bay where it's like not too wavy all the time. And I believe they've maybe built one of these. I'm thinking, let's go to their blog. Let's see. See, I'm not sure if they've actually built one and installed it yet. Maybe they have. But most of this thing was supposed to be 3D printed, which is incredible. It's like a giant factory size 3D printer kind of thing. But yeah, check this out. Like I think they have actually built their first like demo unit maybe of what this thing will look like, or the full thing actually put together. But check this check this thing out. Like what they were describing, what they were talking about is almost like a Jetsons home. When I was at the conference, and so looks like they have a little video here. Let's play this little video. Do I have this pulled up? Nope, not yet. So let's see. I am right here. So let's see, Control C. I'll throw you guys over into this thing. Yeah, you would have to, you'd have to like the water a lot, and you would have to, maybe like scuba diving a lot, and you'd have to have a lot of your stuff there on your pod with you, which is pretty interesting. What do you do with your trash and all that kind of stuff? There's some solutions they were having to think about. But yeah, let me play this for you guys real quick here while I'm still waiting for that video to come up, I think, or to get loaded. Let me see. Let's see, did this one get loaded too? No. Maybe not. Let's see, check this out. Think that loaded? Alright, let's check this out real quick.
Okay, so we're loading up the big stuff now. All the big appliances are going onto the pod. So we pulled the pod into the loading bay. And now we're bringing the fridge in. The fridge is in this box. It's a huge fridge. So we have our telehandler here to lift it up into the pod. So, oh yeah. Hold on. More challenging fridge installation than normal.
All right, so yeah, this is kind of a look at what this thing looks like. It's like kind of a UFO-y looking thing, and I think a lot of it is 3D printed, unless they've had to change some of that and go to other manufacturing techniques. But this was essentially the concept that this guy was talking about back in 2020, and having this spar in the ground, or not in the ground, but going into the ocean, and talking about how the thing would actually help marine life because it provided shade for all the fish and everything to live around the little pod that gets put in the ocean, and everything like that. And it's part of this whole concept of seasteading. So you're like outside of the jurisdictions of different countries. If you have these ocean type of, people living on the ocean in different ways, and kind of to escape certain jurisdictions. And one of the folks that were the original people that went out onto the ocean did it outside of, I can't remember what country. Might have been Thailand, but the government actually came after him because they treated him like some kind of invading force when it was just two people. But anyway, I think it's pretty cool. I thought it was a neat project. Practical from several angles. Is it anchored? No, it's like it just floats. It's pretty interesting. You'd have to go into that website and kind of look into it. But yeah, there you go. If that happened, it would probably take some damage, definitely, from the crazy wave. But is that a for real video, or is that is that just a CG video? Kind of look. Oh, that might be like when that big tsunami came in to that one country. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's issues too with doing the seasteading thing and like even if you say that you're not in the country's jurisdiction, then people can still mess with you. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it's been tried different ways. I think somebody bought a cruise ship or something like that, but then the project. I think these guys were the guys like maybe the Seasteading Institute guys, or they bought a cruise ship and they were trying that out to kind of get out away from jurisdictions and stuff. Because you think about it, like one of those cruise ships is kind of like a floating city in a way. But yeah, it's just kind of like hard to unless we have like replicators or something like that kind of technology, some kind of cool technology like that. It would be kind of difficult to sustain living on the ocean, I would think, for a long period of time, unless you really just like unless you really like fish and you're growing. I guess you could grow hydroponics in some kind of desalinization aquaponics type system where you do raise some fish and stuff together. So come on, man, where's this stuff at? Huh, I wonder why I threw it down here. Oh, because it was earlier in the timeline. Okay, so let me play you guys this video here. This is from me unboxing the 3D printer, and I'll kind of show you a little bit, at least the beginning of this process, and then I'll go into the end of the process. But I've got to edit this video together because I wanted to do kind of like a full video on how the whole thing went together. So, but here's a little peek of that.
Alright, so check it out. I just unboxed all the parts, and they come in all these nice organized boxes with all the different components of the system, all the different tool heads, the tools you need to put it together, cables, power module, the work platforms for the different processes, the laser engraving, the CNC machine, and the 3D printer. And then I believe this is the very base of the machine over here, right there. And then all the linear modules that come with the device, and everything is spelled out really nicely in the quick start guide, showing you how the package comes delivered with all of the different components and what is provided in the package for assembly, and including a spool of PLA filament for the 3D printer, all the different tools, various tools that come with the system, and even a place where you can go to do some video tutorials on the system. And gets right into the machine assembly. Step number 1 here, to get this base plate out of the packaging right here and start the assembly. So that's what I'm going to do.
All right, so that was the initial unboxing of the thing, and then let's see, this may be one of the
the final step of the assembly is to attach a cable holder for the tool head, and it just is attached by a couple of M4x8 screws into the Z-axis module on the side closest.
Yep, my bad.
Okay, the final step of the assembly is to attach a module, move around for the cable movement for the tool. And that's the complete assembly. So there it is. After all the work that was.
So I thought I was filming this horizontally, and apparently not. Looks like
Guys,
looks like I was filming vertically for some reason, or somehow that didn't get corrected. But anyway,
work.
Yeah, there is the
that was probably.
There is the final assembled machine, and then I've already had a couple of successful prints on that thing, and it's been pretty good. So I'm continuing to play around with it. You're right about what if you run out of filament, but yeah, that's one thing. There's solutions for that. Of building my own little re-extruder for plastic and just like shredding up plastics and creating my own filament. Another thing is to stock up on filaments. So I have stocked up on some filaments to be able to print with. And if I run out of electricity, that'd be an issue. But that's why I've built the whole solar power system and everything. But yeah, I do agree. It is good to have have good hard skills, survival skills on what you'll need to do to survive. Yeah, why rely on tech? You're right. But this device is one of those things that I'd like to be able to try to make some money with. And so while everything still works, I would like to see if I could use it to do custom like engraving and all kinds of stuff with the machine. So that's part of the reason I got the machine was to invest in it and kind of learn how to use it to maybe make some money doing some custom stuff, opening my own like little Etsy shop or whatever. So yeah. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying, man. Hard skills is one of the most important things. Like having garden tools and stuff. That's the last episode I did was all about that. Talking about like what you want to invest your money in, and so I was talking about having some good garden tools for number one, and understanding how to garden would be one of the number one hard skills to have and raise livestock. Like chickens, if you can raise like 6 chickens and have a flock of chickens that you can keep going is good. Yeah, good knives. That's why I did invest in this knife set. We started off the show talking and me showing this new knife set that I got for like butchering and everything. So that was one thing I did invest in recently, and a whole load of garden tools. I got a couple of pitchforks, got several shovels. Some of the stuff I've already had, but yeah, just all the good stuff that I'd want to. I even got some weed suppression cloth stuff in so that I could do that better. I got electric poultry netting so that I can have my chickens protected by the electric poultry netting. So got all that good stuff. But coming up on the last minute of the show, appreciate everybody. Especially you, Gabriel, and Nine Claws for listening in on the show tonight and being part of the show. So thank you so much for coming here and hanging out with me tonight. Thanks for the folks that were out there listening on the other platforms, Odyssey and YouTube, the audience members in the Discord chat, Joe Martini for being out there hanging out and watching on the YouTube channel. So thank you guys. We'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Meadows and Makers podcast. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment on the beard, but we'll catch you guys next week for another Meadows and Makers podcast. Until then, have a wonderful week. I love you guys. Stay safe and keep working towards your own self-reliance and your own freedom and expanding freedom in your life. So thanks once again. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys next week. So peace, guys. Later.